Wait. Let's start again. See what I mean? Awful. I'm awful. Hello and welcome back to the Daily Dose podcast. On today's episode, I am thrilled to introduce to you Katie from NR8 Brows. She is a fellow Brow Awards winner.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Okay, that's it. That's that bit done. Not only is she a fellow Brow Awards winner, she is also the brains behind NR8 Brows. Her Instagram is a treasure trove of stunning transformations, expert tips and creative content for you other brow techs out there. She's got a perfect blend of artistry, innovation and business savvy. She started her masterclasses and her education side of her business 6 months after setting up her brow business. I mean, if that's not impressive, I don't know what is. Now, when I put a shout out to the internet, I said, who would you like to have on the podcast? I got loads of people telling me they wanted Katie on the podcast. So, without any further ado, Katie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm sorry it's taken me so bloody long to get this all set up today.
It's absolutely fine.
It's ridiculous.
It's not, it's fine. It's a learning curve.
We've only just started filming, so good times. Right, I'm going to get straight into the questions. Is that okay?
Absolutely perfect.
Katie, you have got an incredible story as to how you got to where you are. Do you mind telling us a little bit about it?
No, absolutely. It's a long story. It's certainly not been a quick journey whatsoever. I've been doing brows or been in the beauty industry for years now. Like I started really when I left school.
Really?
Yeah, as soon as I left school. It was never ever my intention. When I was at school, I wanted to be an architect. That was
what?
I know. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an architect or interior design, something like arty. And I went to a college just down the road from me and enrolled in this architecture course. And I was there like a week. And I was like, I hate this. It was horrendous. You know, when you're just like, if I hate this much already.
Yeah.
And you know when you just know, I was like, I can't carry on. It's just not for me. And I was like 16 at the time when you leave school. You think you know, well, you kind of hope you know what you're going to want to do, but do we ever?
No.
I don't really think I knew what I wanted to do. School was never easy for me. So the one thing that I would say I was okay at was art. Yeah. So I kind of thought, well, I'm all right at that. We'll stick with that.
Yeah, and then the only job really that goes from art is kind of going into something like architecture.
Interior design.
Yeah.
It was just where I went. So enrolled in this course, hated it, went home to my mum and I was like, I can't do it. Like, you know, you're like, I'm that school dropout. That's me.
Yeah.
Went home and my mum was like, okay, fine, we'll go plan B. We then spent the day ringing the colleges and being like, she just needs something. And the lady on the phone was like, I've got one space with anything remotely arty, and it's makeup artistry.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
When do I start? And they were like, tomorrow. So I was like, brill.
Oh my God.
So that was it. I turned up to my course, I think literally the next day. You know, when you turn up and you're just like, this is me. Like, this is my calling. Like, 100%. I loved it. I loved the girls. I got on really well with the teachers. Like, everyone who I was around, I was like, this is me. This industry is a bit of me. Like, I love it. Yeah. I then done the freelance, like the bridal, and went and worked on counter, which wasn't totally for me.
It's not good. That's not makeup though. That's retail.
It's sales.
Yeah,
it's totally sales. So I was like, okay. And then I had my eldest, and you know what it's like when you have children. Like everything changes.
Yeah.
So my want then was to earn more money in less time. Yeah. And have my weekends back. Thinking about like different things that we could do, and that's how I got into semi-permanent makeup. Obviously, we're in Norwich. We're the arse end of nowhere, like, and everything happens in Norwich like 6 years later. Like, it never happens first. We're never the first people to get anything. So I was like, we don't have that here. Like, and I bet I could do that. So I looked online, looked into these courses, and there was like 3, and it was also very expensive. Oh, there's more competition now, so prices have to be competitive.
Yeah.
They didn't have to be back then. So there was about 3 companies, and I went with this company that I thought was really good, looked amazing, and it wasn't. God. I left the course and I was just like, I know I'm not really supposed to feel confident in what I'm doing. I'm new. I've never done this before, but I just don't feel right. So I retrained. Retrained with the other 2 companies that I'd found online. I went with both. Mm-hmm. And then I remember getting a phone call like from the guy who ran the original course and was like, oh, you're paying monthly, like how's it going? And I was like, yeah, actually really well. Obviously at this point I'd retrained, and I'm not the type of person to be like, well actually I thought your training was really bad and I've retrained. I was just like, it's great. Yeah. Like, and I'm making
thanks so much.
Yeah. So he was like, oh, okay, so do you think you could pay it off? And I was like, well, yeah, actually, I probably could. So I did. And I paid it off, and then they disappeared off the face of the earth, like disappeared. And I was like, that's really weird. So I'd done a bit of research and then found that the whole thing was fake, the whole course. Like, it wasn't accredited. They had very narrowly missed or like escaped going to prison. Like, it's been in the newspapers. Like, it was a huge thing.
Wow.
And another lady who had done the course had reported them to Trade and Standards, and that's how it all came about.
Good for her.
Yeah, right. And thanks. Although
Thank God.
never seen a penny.
Oh my
God. And I spent thousands of pounds. I then went through a period of time where, for me, social media was actually like the devil. I found it really, really hard. It was awful because industry itself was different.
Right.
Like,
okay.
I think now, you know, you've got things like the Brow Awards, which is literally an event full of like-minded women, men within the industry that just go and support each other.
Yeah.
There was none of that. It was every man for itself, and I'm going to tear you down if I can. And I had other people in the industry that were getting their friends to write negative reviews on my page. I was putting up sort of like before and after pictures, which, you know, I still do now, tagging my clients. And then people were contacting my clients and saying, you need to demand a refund and come to me for correction. I carried on for a bit, but I was just, it did get to the point where I was like, I need out. I need to do something completely different, like completely different. So a friend of mine, worked for the ambulance service, and we were both my sister-in-law's bridesmaid, and we met at a bridal show, and she was like, come work for the ambulance service. And I was like, I could never. I could never. The thought of going to like university, and not only that, I've got kids. And she was like, you don't have to. You can do an apprenticeship through the ambulance service. I was like, sign me up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, sign me up. So I applied that night, and I got in, and I left Brows. I just stopped, shut the business down. Everyone said to me, it's so different. And I was like, I know, that's the point.
That's why I'm doing it, yeah.
That's the point. So yeah, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
How long did you do that for then?
5 years in total. I've only just left. So I joined in January 2020.
Oh, wow.
What?
COVID time.
COVID. So we done a 12-week, so I say it was an apprenticeship, it was, but you do like 12-week like intensive classroom learning, and you have all your exams and all your like, you know, physical OSCEs and things like that. And then you're straight out, and it was, I remember our 12 weeks ran into March, and we were due to finish on the Friday, and Wednesday our tutors came in and went, the world's gone into lockdown. And we were like,
God.
What does that mean? And they were like, you're done. And we were like, we're 2 days from finishing. And they were like, you're out on the road. They need everybody.
Yeah. In a way, at least we were fortunate enough, I guess, to have a job. I know it must have been
absolutely
horrendous
because
it was COVID time. But if you think you'd stayed in your other job, you wouldn't have had anything.
No,
you
nothing.
wouldn't have had anything. At least you had money coming in
Yeah,
during COVID
for
as well.
sure.
Yeah.
And actually, like when I look back, and like you say, it's awful, and it sounds like, 'cause I know, trust me, I saw the worst of COVID, and this is very selfish of me to say, I don't think I would have been able to stay at the ambulance service for as long as I did had it not been for COVID, because my children were at home.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going and doing a night shift, coming back, getting them ready for school, then they were off, then they were coming back, and then I was off doing a night shift. They were at home.
Yeah.
They were at home all the time. So actually, when I wasn't at work, I was with them, and I wouldn't have been, say it hadn't have been for the country going to lockdown. I was there for, I'd say, about 4 years before I then was like, this is taking its toll. So I spoke to work, and I went down to part-time. Okay. To fill the financial gap, I then planned to work at home doing brows.
Did you go in feeling super anxious about everything again?
Yeah, I was. But I was also
But it's what you knew.
2
as
kids
well.
down by this point, and I was like, do you know what? I don't care. And I applied to be a brow icon with Inlay. I entered in the Brow Awards. That was the second thing. And then I started doing my own masterclasses within about 6 months of qualifying in lamination. I qualified in the November, and I held my first masterclass in the May. And then, by, I can't even think when the Brow Awards was now. End of last year. October. By October, I had won the Brow Awards. And had about, 13 students.
It's incredible. The scale of which you've grown it in the time frame, like what you've done, is amazing, and your work's beautiful. Absolutely. I can absolutely see why you've won that award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Really, really good.
Thank you so much.
Look at you now.
I never would have entered an award like the Brow Awards back then, because the
your confidence.
backlash I would have got would have just been
I feel like that's
horrendous.
the good thing though about the Brow Awards, is that it's so inclusive, and it's so supportive to everybody. Like
100%.
I have never felt any sort of intimidation or anything from anyone at the Brow Awards. I've loved everybody I've met. All of the organisers are incredible. It's just such a fun event to go to.
It is.
Even if you don't enter, it's just really nice to go and mingle and network and meet with people.
For sure.
So I think it's so important to have something like that in the industry. I remember when I first came into the brow industry, I just remember feeling love from everybody. Like other
And
brow
support.
techs following you and like supporting you, commenting, that's amazing, that's beautiful. And you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I came from a makeup background as well, and my background was slightly different from yours in terms of makeup, whereas I was in the TV and film industry, so that's supportive and lovely, and everybody is like a big family in that sense. But it's very much, you're in the TV and film industry, and that's not a bad thing, but if you leave it, it's a very isolating thing to do when you then leave the industry. It's very scary as well to think you're leaving the comfort of the TV industry where the money is good and the people are lovely and you all feel like a family. So then going into a completely different industry where you're not really too sure how you're going to be able to, perform and look good and do good treatments, how you're going to be received. So I completely understand you feeling that kind of, probably a bit of like overwhelmed at how lovely everybody is in the brow industry. I've only ever felt love from the industry, and I feel very lucky to have got that, because I know there's other people maybe haven't. The brow industry for sure is so supportive, and then I feel like as you build your clients, you've got them as like an extended level of love and support, and it's so lovely. It's so nice coming to work.
Yeah, it is.
With people who just support and love you.
Yeah, it's so nice.
It's great. It's a really nice way to exist. So your Instagram content is stunning.
Thank you.
Which is surprising, because you mentioned earlier that you found it quite overwhelming and you came in unsure of social media completely. So how have you managed to create content for your business, and do you do anything to keep it fresh and exciting?
Yeah, so when I came back into brows, I completely rebranded. Like I just started again. I didn't, because I still actually had my old Facebook page up, and it had thousands of followers on it. So for someone to go, nah, scratch it, I'm starting again, it's probably a little bit crazy, but I needed a fresh start. I didn't want to go back
And that's really
the-
good for your algorithm to do that as well. You know, you're starting afresh and there's
Yeah.
no mixed signals as to
Yeah.
what your account is about. So that's a good way to start.
Yeah, so I started a complete fresh, and I just stuck to really, really good before and after photos. Like, for me, lighting is, oh my God, it's key. It's okay to pick up other people's advice and tips and tricks on what to do on social media.
Yeah.
Just don't copy. Use what you think works from their page and put your sort of stamp on it. Yeah. Good before and afters was what got me going. Like silly little things like making sure I tagged them in my post and done like collaboration posts. Like that got my name out there because it wasn't just shown on my page, it was shown on theirs.
Yeah.
Good transformation photos. I don't think you can beat them in terms of getting your work out there.
Yeah.
And when I was starting up, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and that's what clients want to see is the before and after. They don't really care,
Yeah.
I think, about how good that reel is or, you know, the context, like how you've made that reel. They want to see the before, the afters, and then how that's going to work for them.
Quickly.
Yes.
Like, they don't want to be watching a 10-second before photo or before video. They're just like, come on.
Yeah.
What does it look like after?
Yeah.
That's what I need to do. So, and I found whenever I was watching like content advice, like you've got like 3 seconds or something before someone decides whether they're going to stay on your page or not.
Yeah.
So like, work with that. Like, you've got 3 seconds. Like, work with that. So I made sure my reels were quite snappy and quite quick. And my bio, like a good bio for me is key.
She's got it.
Like, key. And when I do my masterclasses, I do sit and sort of say to the girls, right, let's have a look at your Instagram.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
your key.
It's like a little show reel on its own, isn't it? You want to get all the right information in there.
You don't need 45 emojis and
No.
like, you just don't need it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi.
Postie's just walked in. It's not Eloise from Take a Brow though. Gutted. She was a postie and you were a paramedic. No brow tech has come from beauty.
Never.
No. Right, sorry, carry on. What were we talking about? Your bio.
And the 3 second rule applies for that as well, I think. In that 3 seconds, do they know who you are and what you offer, how I can book it and where you are?
Yeah.
You need that. When I wanted to get into masterclasses, I started a Top Tip Tuesday.
Cool.
And I just done really quick reels. Obviously, they have to be quick.
Yeah. It's good, I think, to give stuff like that away to show people that you know your stuff. And it's like, well, if she's giving that away for free, then what is she gonna give me in my paid courses? You know, I think it's a really good a lead magnet in a way, isn't it? You're kind of getting people in, sucking them in with your little freebie tips and then going, oh, great, follow you. I like what you're doing. Oh, look, she's doing it every week. That's really good. It's really being consistent as well is really important in that sense.
You're really good. You should enter this award, when actually the messages I used to get was, I need a refund because I've been told you're rubbish.
Well, don't take any of that to heart because the amount of messages I got to get you on this podcast were insane. All right, so do you use any particular tools or anything for creating your content? And if you do you have any must-have recommendations?
So I've only recently started using CapCut.
Yes.
Yeah, I've
Fellow
just
CapCut user, I love it.
yeah, I've only just started using that. I used to do all my reels just on like Instagram, and spend God knows how long cutting it all down and making sure it all fits the music.
Instagram's so hard. I mean, it used to be really hard. I know they're doing improvements now. I still personally don't like them. I don't think they suit my branding, but you know, it's much easier for someone, I think, to make stuff on Instagram now. But I just feel like CapCut's just if you pay for, I pay for the pro one.
Yeah.
I pay for that and it's really good.
Yeah. So my son does go-karting, and he has an Instagram page, and he sent me a reel and I was like, that's really good.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get all that editing? He was like, it's on here.
Oh, amazing.
Amazing. I'm being taught by my teenager. But yeah, it's good and it works.
At least he's hanging out with you and doing stuff with you. That's cool. Anyway, to get them
small wins.
hanging out with you. Show me how to do this.
Yeah. So yeah, that I would say CapCut, and for me, Canva.
Yes.
So many people say to me, I'm just not a social media person. You don't have to be.
You don't need to be.
These literally do it for you.
Exactly.
You just need to get your content to put into there.
Yes.
And then
So
you're
buy
away.
my content course, which is
Buy
available now, by the way. It's not, but it will be by the time this airs. Buy my content course and learn how to do some content off of that. It's really easy. And then get these apps, because your like content will take you 2 minutes instead of 2 days.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think if you don't have these kind of things, and you don't have like the guidance of, you know, someone else who's been there and done it, it's just a minefield. Like it's like a full-time job in itself.
Yeah.
And you can spend so much time.
Yeah. And rest assured that I have spent the money on all of those other apps and all those other courses that tell you, learn how to do this, learn how to do that, learn what hook is, learn all that. I've paid for that and I've done them, and now I'm telling you them. So
in one.
Yes, it saves you buying all these different courses to learn all these different bits. This is one course that will tell you everything you need to know about it, and it's good, if I do say so myself. So do you find any inspiration for your work and your social media from any other people on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anyone specifically. The standard of work in the brow industry is it's just so high. I wouldn't necessarily say I stick to brow techs. I follow loads of pages. Home pages.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a home page?
Which is funny considering you didn't want to do architecture or design.
Ironic. Yeah, no, I think because, I mean, home accounts are huge.
Yeah. But so aesthetic.
And exactly that. They look great.
Yeah.
And I think, well, if that looks great, I can use that music and that idea and just put my own stamp on it.
Yeah.
If you look at someone you're like, that's a really nice page. It doesn't have to be in your industry.
Yeah.
It can be anything.
Yeah.
So I thought, I follow home accounts, food. I love food.
Don't we all?
I love
God,
food so much.
I've started following this guy and I feel really dirty for following him. Like, I showed it to my husband because I felt bad for following this guy. I was like, look at this, isn't this disgusting? Follow. But it's like, and I say the word food porn, but it's like that. It's like food porn. He's like making food and then, you know, maybe licking it at the same time, and you're like, what am I watching? You're almost a little bit offended, but then you're like, you just keep looking at it. You know, it's really weird. Yeah. I contacted him to try and get him on here. I was like,
did you?
I follow you. I think your account's great. I know a lot of my followers would love to see your content and him. Do you want to come on the podcast? Nothing.
Oh.
No. I'm not big enough for him.
Never mind.
Another day. It looks like you're watching a film, but the content is questionable. But it's great. Like the actual stuff, it works. It really gets you working. I shared it going, look how disgusting this is. Follow. Everyone's like, awful. Followed it. Yeah. But yeah, food accounts. Great.
Yeah. There's a hairdresser local to me. She posted a reel and it went like super viral. So I was like, I wonder if I could do similar. It didn't work for me.
What was the reel?
I think she was just blow drying someone's hair. And then the like hook or whatever it is what your hairdresser wants you to know.
Okay.
So I was like, well, your brow tech wants you to know.
Yeah.
Like, don't trim your brows before you come here. Don't use retinols and not tell me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, things that actually are really handy. And I thought, you know, that
educational
could
for
work.
people to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's educational for other brow techs to just share.
Yeah.
That's easy for them. Like, and it's good for my clients to know. Yeah, it didn't work. But
just goes to show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Virality is literally potluck. I've done one reel on, I think, my Dose account years ago, like when I first started doing brows. And please don't anybody like look for it because it's so far down my page. I can't delete it. I can't bring myself to delete it because it's got so many views. But it's awful. It's, I think, maybe one of the first reels I ever made. So it's when reels first came out and they were really pushing, you know, anybody.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many views I've got now. It's millions.
Oh, wow.
And it was awful. So embarrassing.
Oh, well.
Come tint and tidy with me. It's so bad.
We've all done those.
So bad. But I can't bring myself to delete it. But I've never gone that kind of viral again since.
Really?
And
It's
it was
crazy.
it's just a one-off. It was just posted at the right time. People were watching it, and then the algorithm sees that people are staying to watch it, and then it went mental. But just goes to show that I feel like if you stay in your lane and you're consistent with what you're doing and how you're posting, it is going to get you like clients. I mean, that's what we're all here for, is the clients. And everybody wants their Instagram to convert into sales. So you know, you want everybody to, the people that are watching it, to not just be some random person in Australia. You want it to be someone who would go, oh, I'm going to go to her because I love I love how much she knows about brows. Or, you know, she looks like she really knows her stuff. I'm going to go and see her. That's kind of what you want. So it's a good thing to do, but it doesn't always go viral, does it?
No.
Doesn't mean it's going to get you money if it goes viral.
No.
Last question. You're running a business and you're doing amazing brow transformations. You're staying consistent on your social media as far as I can tell. You're tattooing and you're running top-notch education and masterclasses. Do you ever get overwhelmed?
Being totally honest, no.
Do you manage your time efficiently then?
Yeah.
To avoid the overwhelm?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's from experience.
Right. So what is it that you do?
I was already doing late nights and weekends with the ambulance service. There was no way I was offering that doing brows.
No.
So I went down to part-time at the ambulance service and I filled the school hours doing brows. So my clients that came to me knew you were with me between half 9 and half 2, or you weren't with me at all.
Yes.
And then when I left the ambulance service, I was very strict with myself to keep those hours. So I think being that strict with myself and being that strict from the beginning helped massively. And don't get me wrong, I've lost clientele. That's fine. I'm just not your brow tech.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I think it's okay to turn people away.
If you like it, great. If you don't, lump it.
Yeah. I'm not saying I work 9:30 till 2:30 and that's that. But they are my salon opening hours.
Yes.
That's when I see clients. And, you know, my kids aren't with me all the time. So, you know, if they're upstairs playing on their games or wherever they may be, then I will sit on my phone and make a couple of reels or, you know, do a post and try and just...
So you don't necessarily plan out your content in a way. You're just, are you doing it on the hop and as and when you feel like you're able to do it? Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. That's interesting to know, because I feel like I touched on this. I'm going to touch on this a lot with all my guests, and finding out who plans and who doesn't, because I personally don't plan, and I've mentioned this in another episode, and I think it's important to let other people know that not everybody is planning, and however you make your content, I find the creative flow comes and goes, and I feel like when you're feeling super creative, you could maybe make 2 or 3 reels in one. Someone asked me at an event, they said, oh, could you include a content calendar into your course? And I was like, I mean, I could, but it kind of goes against what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To say, you know, I do it on the hop because I do it as and when I feel like I'm able to. And that's my lifestyle, you know, but obviously that person didn't have children. They didn't have, like, other things outside of their brow job. Anyway, I digress. The whole content. Planning time aside, I don't do that either. So it's nice to know if there's someone else who doesn't do that. It's quite common.
And I never have.
No, I'm noticing now it's quite common.
Yeah, I went on a course not that long ago and she was saying, oh, I've got a post scheduled to just post.
Yeah.
That would send my anxiety through the roof. I'd be like, no, I need to watch this post go live.
I don't schedule. I know when my times are when I'm busy, when people are on, and it's normally when I'm on myself. So it might be nighttime, maybe 9 o'clock at night when I'm sat in bed. I'd be like, well, other people like me are going to be in their bed scrolling.
Yeah.
Or, you know, first thing in the morning when people wake up, my engagement is really good at like 6, 7 a.m.
Oh, wow, okay.
So quite often I'll post something at that time. I've maybe got something ready, but I'll post it then.
Yeah.
And, you know, it does well for the rest of the day up through lunchtime.
I'll have things in my drafts.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Yes.
But I don't,
There's not necessarily
I don't have a
scheduled
calendar.
ready to go. No.
I don't think that would work for me.
No.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't ever. But for me personally at the minute, I think...
Each to their own, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
With it, see how it works for you. But yeah, I'm the same. I don't really do scheduling. One of the other episodes I did, I think I said scheduling about 25 times in one sentence. So I'm trying really hard not to say it so many times this time. Okay, I am also doing another little section within the podcast, and this wasn't in the bits I sent you. Do you have a question for my next guest? You're not to know who the next guest is. They're not from Brows, but just a random question. It could be, what did you have for your tea?
What would be your number one tip or advice to yourself starting again.
Oh, that's great. Love that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, you're very welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm sorry it took me so long to get the sound to bloody work. I really hope it's worked just now whilst we've been sat here.
Crossed.
Otherwise, you'll have to come back for another 8-hour round trip to come
hours.
back and do it. It's ridiculous. Thank you so much for travelling so far to come up to do this, to sit and dose. I'm sorry I couldn't get it organised for you to tattoo me, but we will do that at some point.
It's in the
I'm
pipeline.
Save a little space somewhere on my arm for you to do.
Love
I
it.
don't want to get NR8 Brows on my arm. NRB Brows.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. Right, thank you very much for watching and listening, and I'll see you again on the next episode. Thank you.
Bye.